Hey everyone. Have you do you wish that you could discover some little change that you could make that would literally just make a big difference, right? A little change for a big difference. What if there were some simple daily actions that you could take? Well, there are. And today, Leesa is coming on the show and she's going to share some of those. She calls them her life hacks, 5 life hacks that she shares in the 5 pillars of health. And she's going to roll through those. And I will just tell you that you're going to want to bring your questions and you're going to want to take some notes because she has so much information to share. And she says she normally does this in a longer period of time, but today she's going to give it to us in the condensed version. So I know there's going to be some questions that you guys might have that we can definitely answer after the show. But first, let me start by saying my name is Cheryl Bassett. I'm founder of Unstoppable Connections. I am an international bestseller and creator of the award-winning Unstoppable Family Meeting Toolkit. I am also the host of this show, Kitchen Table Conversations, as part of the Edge Network. Families do tap into what I got to create, was my gift, which is around how to create an unshakable, unbreakable foundation for families. And it really is a family love story in our journey and how we did wrap around 4 gifts. If you would like to learn more about that journey, that connection with families and those 4 gifts, you can go to unstoppableconnections.com. And if you have an idea for this show or you would like to be on the show, you can also reach out to me at kitchentableconversations.com. Now, I want to set an intention for the show, and I do this for every show because I just feel like that's so important. We ground this show in what we call the gift of love. And that's where we choose to celebrate ourselves and others. Now, just understand this show, we do the fun stuff to the tough stuff and everything in between. And today, I think this is like in the good to know stuff, right? Not just like literally conversations that you and your family need to sit down and wrap around. But what we do is we bring in this gift of love and then we unwrap it by choosing to celebrate ourselves and others. And it's in that celebration that we come to every show with an open heart, an open mind, and an absolute celebration of the person who came here today to give of their heart, their talent, their passion, their gifts. And that's what we're going to get today from Leesa. And I'm really excited to have her here. I've gotten to know her. She has a beautiful heart, and I know she's got so much information. Before I bring her on and you get to meet her, I want to just cover her bio just quickly here. Leesa is, and I had to practice this, I told her, an internationally recognized myofascial specialist and craniosacral therapist with nearly 3 decades of experience. She discovered the importance of a holistic lifestyle. Now, she spells holistic with a W. And why? Because to Leesa, what that means is incorporating all areas of your life to overcome disease and dysfunction, bringing your whole being together, right? Your mind, your body, and spirit. So you're going to learn more about Leesa at her website too, which we'll put up on the screen later at Fresh Life Connection. But right now, what I want to do is have Leesa share from her heart and her wisdom with us. So everyone, welcome Leesa.
Hey.
Hey.
It's good to see you.
It's great to see you. I've been excited about your show ever since we met, because, when we met, I felt like I'd known you my whole life anyway. Right. So, but I know I'm going to learn some stuff from you today too, because we haven't had a chance to really delve into all that you do share. So this is exciting to kind of for me as well, just to get to learn a little bit more about what you do share. So, everybody's on their journey. Everybody has a passion, and there's always really some reason, right, that they land in this space that's just really important to them. And I'm sure that's true for you too. So how is it you got on this journey and doing what you're doing?
It is a journey, and it has been. It's an ongoing journey. I'm definitely a work in progress. But so several years ago, back in the mid 80s, we moved to Ohio. We had bought our first home. We had our children that we were just starting off our family. So we had a 3-year-old and one that had just turned 1. And because we didn't know anybody in Ohio, we decided that I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. And that was wonderful. I loved it. Until one morning when I woke up and I could barely move. Every move that I made, I had this excruciating pain. Have you ever had pain so bad that it actually hurt you to breathe? So, yeah, it was actually horrible. But worse than the pain was seeing my 3-year-old because every time I tried to move, I was fighting back these tears. And my 3-year-old, she looked up at me and she's like, Mama, why are you so sad? And that really scared me.
Yeah.
So it took a few days before I got the diagnosis back from my doctor. And what she was telling me, it was called fibromyositis. Today it's known as fibromyalgia. And she's telling me all about this, that it's a syndrome and that they really don't know that much about it, but they do have this pill. And I'm like, great, I'll just take this pill. And then in a day or two, I'll get my life back. But, of course, it didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
I didn't get my life back exactly the way that it had been. So what had happened is I had a negative reaction to that classification of drugs. Okay. And that's really all they were able to offer me at the time. But the good news is that the girls and we lived very close to our local library, and we spent a lot of time there. And this is where I began to learn more about the mind and the body connection and the importance of being able to treat your body as a whole. And so when I started applying the techniques that I had been reading about, and some of them were fairly unconventional, particularly back in the 80s, but when I started applying those techniques, I began to get better. And I began to get healthier. And I got my life back. But actually, my life was better than it had been, because I hadn't been holistically healthy. I hadn't been healthy all the way around, or I wouldn't have been diagnosed with this autoimmune disorder, right?
Right.
And so through all of this learning, I began to put together something that I call 5 pillars of health. And these 5 pillars of health, now fast forward nearly 30 years, is what I have been sharing. I've made a career out of that. And I am so grateful that you've invited me here so that I can share some of these techniques with you and your audience today.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear. It's one of the things that as people are listening to this, and maybe as you're sitting down and talking with your family, do you feel like this is going to be a topic that is really maybe more for parents, or do you feel like there's going to be things that the kids can learn about this as well? Or do you?
Well, I had a 3 and a 1-year-old. And so my children learned this throughout their life. So absolutely. And now that I'm a grandmother, I see that my daughter is applying this with her family and stuff. So absolutely, it is something that it's a lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
We learned, I think through modern medicine, that you can't just take one pill, or you can't just eat a good diet, because we had been eating a good diet, but that you really need, in order to be really happy, like really happy and healthy, that you need to look at your body holistically. And that's why I spell it WHOL instead of HOLE. So HOLEIST. I'm not spelling it right.
That's all right. You don't have to, because you're spelling it the right way with the W. So
well, so when people say holistic, they always spell it HOL, right?
HOLIST, I think. Yeah, right. So then put the W in front of it. Yeah.
To me, HOLE is a whole. That's how we spell a negative. Mm-hmm. But WHOL is the encompassing of everything.
Yeah.
And so that's these 5 pillars, these 5 life hacks that I have. So I learned, in order to be really happy and healthy and even wealthy, that I needed to look at my body as a whole. So again, I put these together, and what they are is, the first pillar is P, and it is for positive thoughts. So have you ever really considered that our life is just a series of habits?
Yeah, but I think it's taken me a long time, a lot of years before I got to that point where I go, wow, it's like the little daily decisions, right?
Yeah. And it seems like we just keep doing the same thing. You get up, you go to work, you come home, all of those different things. So our life habits, they're really not that hard to change, but the really difficult thing seems to be able to maintain that new habit that we want to do. So I wanted to try something with your audience today.
Okay. All right. I love it.
I've tried this before, but so if we don't have an awareness of what we're thinking, then how is it that we recognize that we have a choice to make a different habit or to make a different thought?
Mm-hmm.
So if the people who are watching here today, and you too, and I'll do it too, but I'll keep track of the time.
Okay.
If we just take 10 seconds, just 10 seconds, and try to be quiet and become aware and listen to the thoughts. And then maybe on your fingers, just count how many different thoughts you might have.
In 10 seconds.
In 10 seconds. So if everybody can just kind of sit back and get comfy and take a nice breath and know that I'll keep track of the time. And go. And 10 seconds is up.
Wow. That's like fast.
Yeah. So were you able to count?
I tried counting. Yes, I think I got like to about 6.
Yeah. So some people might be aware that they only have 1 or 2. You might even have like 10 or 15 different thoughts. And that's just in 10 seconds. Now, right. There's a lot smarter people out there than me that they have the stats on all of that. And they say it's like 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. That's just mind-blowing to me. So the first thing that I'd really like to challenge your audience to do is to start paying attention to their thoughts. Because once you pay attention to what it is that you're saying to yourself every day, consciously or not consciously, but the things that I hear most of the time in my practice are, oh, I'm not good enough, or why did I do that dumb thing? But every time that you say something, because thoughts are actually energy,
mm-hmm.
and that energy creates an action. So we need to be aware of what it is that we're thinking. And that was one of the things that I had to learn back in the 80s to try and help myself with that autoimmune disorder called fibromyalgia. Because what an autoimmune disorder is when your body starts attacking itself. Well, my mind was attacking my body by the things that it was saying to me. You know, I'm not good enough. I was doing all of those things, and I still do. I mean, it's part of our evolutionary process. But anyhow.
Yeah, well, but it's like you said, standing in awareness of it. And I used to always, I'd say this to my boys, but I think it was more for me as much as anything. But, we can never grow through guilt, only through awareness. And I think sometimes we need to forgive ourselves and just move forward.
Oh, right? I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So once we find out what it is that we're saying to ourselves, then we have the choice to create a new thought.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to have accountability buddies, though, because trust me, you're going to need more than one buddy. Mm-hmm. And you just say, this is the new habit that I want to create. And then you get a few accountability buddies, and they can help keep you on task. And if you do this for about 30 days, before you know it, that's going to now be your new habit.
A new habit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the second pillar is R, and it is for rest. So do you have any idea why it is that we need to rest? Why we need to have good quality sleep?
Well, I know that our bodies does a lot of things. It does so many things. Like we feel like we're resting, but really their bodies are at work doing a lot of things. And I know, like, even just how our brain needs to have time to take a break and reorganize.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So it's for us to renew and to rejuvenate. So it's when our body detoxes because we're always getting new cells, and old cells need to get detoxified and flushed out of the system. So we're always regenerating, we're always renewing. This is where we're processing our memories. We process the events from the day, and then we make memories out of those. So people are saying things like, oh, I just can't think, or I'm word searching all the time. And that was part of what I was dealing with too. I mean, as a 28-year-old woman, I shouldn't be looking for words, but I really was. And it's because my rest, because I had a 1-year-old and I was nursing, and a 3-year-old probably had a little bit to do with it. But I wasn't getting the quality sleep that I needed to have. So one of the things that we do in our modern lives is that we have a lot of electronics in our bedrooms. And there's something called electromagnetic frequency. And if people have heard of it, maybe they agree with it, maybe they don't, because you can't see these things. And most of us can't feel it. But that EMF, or electromagnetic frequencies, they're waves, and it disrupts our sleep. So if you can take the electronics out of the bedroom, even the phone, and I know some people tuck their phone under their pillow. Oh, please don't do that. At least have it.
Please don't do that.
Please don't do that. At least have it, a couple feet away from you. I mean, I know that people now use that as an alarm clock, but tuck it away. And most of the phones now, the smartphones, have where you can put it on silent, except for emergency people. So that would be a really good thing to do.
Yeah. It's like, I used to, and I don't anymore because I'm learning, right, all this stuff, but like I used to sleep closer to my phone than my husband. So, it's kind of, so now I move it much further away. I will say I'm challenged by putting it completely out of the room, because if somebody did call that, once you have kids, like, it doesn't matter how old they are, right? Because mine are 28 and 30, but that's still, but it is way far away from me now. It's in the same room, but much further away. So I never slept with it under my pillow because I heard it could catch on fire too. So I figured that's not a good thing. But just, that proximity of it, right?
Yeah, this is a little side note, but I think that it's imperative to state. I used to work in hospice, and 100% of the very little demographic that I worked with that had brain tumors lived close to the big tower, electric towers. Yeah.
Wow.
100% of them.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You can't see, that electric going through the wires, but you can hear it when you get,
you can.
Yeah. So the third pillar is A, and it is for align. So most people, when they think of align or alignment, they think of their posture, right? And that is part of this. But it's also about making sure that you're living true to yourself, true to who you want to be as a person, or how I wanted to be also as a mom. So it was just very important to me to recognize that all of my things were not in alignment with what my soul needed to be.
Yeah.
And so what you can do for that is to join a group, to start talking more to more like-minded people, because you and I think that's one of the reasons why we connected so immediately, because we're so like-minded.
Right.
So it is about posture too. And that would be, I am a big fan of meditation. I do meditation videos. I'm a student and have been for years and years of yoga or any kind of a movement. I teach a reverse aging course that's all about fascia, movement and keeping your fascia light and flexible. So some of the things that you can do is to just really get quiet and ask yourself, am I living the path of who I want to be? And then if you're not, try and pare that down a little bit. What are you doing that you need to change, or what could you add to it? Maybe you just love being out in nature more, but you don't get out enough. Maybe just taking a walk in the woods or something like that.
Yeah. I Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that alignment is so important. I do want to, I want to, before you go on to the fourth one and whatever too, I want to back up a second because we had a couple comments come in that I missed, and I want to do this, but I know you talked about the first thing is positive thoughts. And we had somebody here who had made this comment. Our thoughts are extremely powerful.
They are extremely powerful because thoughts are energy.
Yeah. And I think most people don't think about that because, and so to be in a stand in that awareness around it, which is actually part of our alignment as well, right? That kind of flows into that as well.
That's why I say holistic.
Yeah.
Because
all connected.
Each one of these things feed into the next one. And Judy, I have been a great student of spiritual writings in every aspect that I've been able to come up in contact with. In Christianity and Buddhism, Hinduism, I studied at an ashram for about 3 years. In all of these, and I was raised in Christianity. So I've read the Bible, I've read all of these different spiritual writings, and they all say the exact same thing. And there's a passage in Proverbs of the Christian Bible, and it says, and it's not verbatim, but basically, be careful of your thoughts because your life is shaped by those thoughts.
Yeah.
And so we have known this through all of our civilizations. Our ancestors knew this. This is a part of our DNA. So whoever it was that said that.
Yes. Scotia.
Scotia.
Yeah, she's great.
So yes, they are extremely powerful. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah. So that was the positive thoughts. And then we talked about rest. Rest is the second pillar, and that's to renew and rejuvenate. And in that, though, you mentioned about, and she has a question. So I want to make sure we get this answered because I think it's a great question, because I actually had this question at one point myself.
Should we? Oh, yeah. I mean, those things being plugged in, there is electric that comes from, it's kind of like your water. It comes into the wall, but it should be stopped there unless you have it on. Mm-hmm. But your phones and stuff are always on. Your alarm clock is always on. Your TV. The TV is always on. It's always on and glowing in the background. So I think that your phone and your television or your tablet, those kinds of things would be the most important to make sure that you take out of your room.
Yeah. Okay.
So unplug them. A lot of people have those power strips that you just touch one button.
It turns it off. Yeah.
Turns everything off.
Yeah.
And they say that that's good. Now, I don't have my phone in the room with me, but I actually have an EMF protector on my phone. And I have it on my laptop, but it's on the bottom of my laptop, so you wouldn't be able to see it. And on my my Wi-Fi speakers and stuff, because I like to listen to to music, and it goes through the house, but it's connected to my Wi-Fi. So you can get those. It's called Zubi, Z-U-B-I, I believe is the one that I found had all of the research. I can make sure that I get the exact thing.
Okay, I'll add it in later then. But yeah, that might be good to let them know, because I know I had that question too, because there's different ones out there, and it's like, well, how do I know I'm getting one that actually works?
Well, I relied on, again, very smart people who I trust are doing all of the research.
They're doing the research, so we can trust in that.
Yeah. This is like third and fourth hand information, but I trust those people, so that's where I get it from.
That's great. Okay, so we've positive thoughts, rest, alignment, and now we're on to what is number 4.
Number 4 is in, and it is for nutrition. So it turns out that Mom was right. Again, we really are what we eat. And it's ever important to not only eat whole foods, but to eat it as fresh as what you can. Because the moment that something is picked or pulled or the growth is stopped, that's when it begins to die. And that's when the nutrition and stuff starts to come out of it.
Well, I had heard, I want to ask you this question because I had heard too, though, like frozen foods can sometimes actually have a lot of nutrition in them because they are picked and then they're immediately frozen or quickly frozen, right? So so if you don't get the fresh, and you can have that on hand and you can keep a lot more healthy food on hand by having it frozen around, right?
So smart. Absolutely. I use my freezer so much, and my children laugh at me all the time until now they're adults and they're like, oh, I get it.
Now I kind of get it. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, one of the other things that I do for nutrition, like the kitschy term now is bone broth. Well, it was just soup stock for me when I was growing up, and probably for you too. Mom would take a ham bone or whatever, chicken, whatever, and make soup. I keep the carcass or the bones. Like if I'm having baby back ribs, or even if I bought a roaster chicken at the grocery store, after all of the meat and stuff is taken off of it, I put that in a baggie. And I also keep all of the ends of like the carrots and the celery and all of the stuff that people don't typically use. I keep those and I put it in a baggie, and I keep that in my freezer. And then when I'm ready to make some stock, I keep that on a low simmer for 2 or 3 days on the back burner of my stove. So I put it all in there, the bones, all of the ends and pieces of the vegetables, bring it to a boil, put a lid on it, and then turn it down on low. And then I just leave it. And the other thing that people like to throw away is the gooey jelly part. So not the solid stuff, but the gooey jelly after you've had meat in the refrigerator. Throw that away because they think it's gooey, and that's collagen. And you and I know what gravity does and how our collagen gets broke down.
Yeah.
But no one would believe that you and I are both in our 90s, would they?
I know. I know. Thank you so much. I was going to say, don't. She's going to say my age, and they're going to go, well, no, she actually kind of looks like that.
Well, I'm
good.
I'm pretty close to 60. I'm just like I have
knocking on that door too. So I
think that what I use is the 80-20 rule, because I like birthday cake, and I like cookies and all of those kinds of things, but I use the 80-20 rule. So one of the things that I'd like to challenge your audience with is to try to get your kids and everybody to the table and to eat what you've cooked, right? So one of the things, and I actually have this on my website, I've got a free video on how to make a grocery list clear to cooking. So how I've learned, and what I did with my kids, and I know that my grandkids and stuff do this too, is to get everybody involved. So have the grandkids or have your children, whoever, actually help decide what you're going to have for dinner. And then have them get involved. They get to make the list, maybe go to the grocery store after they're allowed to go to the grocery store. And even have them help cook it, the little things that they can do. And then help clean up the kitchen and all of that. And when we're involved with it, we're more likely to eat it. So now is the perfect time of year to go get some seed packets at like your Royal King or your local True Value or wherever, and just get a flower pot. Doesn't have to be too big. Get some potting soil and put some lettuce. Maybe get some onion sets, herbs. Get culinary herbs. You can get basil. You can get thyme. You can get, I don't know. I have a whole thing.
Rosemary. We have some rosemary. I love. And we've got chives, all that.
Dill, cilantro, all of that you can grow.
Yeah.
The lettuces and the onions should be put in the ground or in a pot now, because they're cool weather. And then you can go out with the kids and just say, hey, go out and give me some lettuce. Give them some kitchen scissors. They'll cut it off. And then you get to have your salad right there.
So anybody who's watching this, maybe later, when she says cool weather, we're in Ohio. And it is what, April
22nd? It's Earth Day.
Oh, whose birthday?
Earth.
Oh, Earth Day. I thought you said birthday. I'm like, whose birthday?
Earth,
It is Earth Day. You're right. I forgot about that.
yeah.
Yeah. There we go. It's Earth Day. So on Earth Day, go plant your lettuce and
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, my tomatoes got their nose nipped last night, even though I brought them underneath, but it froze last night. But they'll be good. It'll be fine. And so the fifth pillar is another letter A, and it is for action. So that's probably the most important pillar that we have, because we can be aware that we need to change our thought process, or that we should be eating whole foods or sleeping a little bit better. But unless we apply this, unless we put it into action, our life's going to stay the same. And you know, the one thing about life is that it's happening, whether you're in control of it or not.
Yes.
And so what these 5 pillars are helping you to do is to be in control of your own life.
Right.
So some of the people, if they've been writing this down, they might recognize that my 5 pillars have an acronym. So yeah, what is it?
Prana, Prana. I wrote it down.
Yeah, and that's because by definition, prana is a life-giving force. And that's what I'm sharing with everybody today, is a life-giving force. So I think that, you know, I just want you to stop and think, is your life worth making a couple changes? Is somebody that you love, are they worth it? Because I think they are. I think you are. And you know what? Together, we can make a huge difference. And right now, with all of the things that's going on in the world right now, I think that if we have, I so hope that all of this positivity that's even on the commercials and everything continues to happen.
Me too.
Because we're making a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there's enough that's happened, that there's a shift that's happening where people are standing in that awareness. And I think exactly what you're teaching is some of the changes that people right now, more than ever before, are going to be willing to make. And they're going to value that, right? Because, you know, we are in 2020 right now. And, you know, it's funny because originally I thought, oh, you know, we don't want to date the show by talking about this. But the truth is that this is going to be with us for a long, long time, hopefully in those positive ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not, so even referencing like 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if somebody were watching this, they would go, oh, I remember, I was there. I remember that. Like,
this will be in our grandchildren's history books.
It will.
I mean, that's kind of mind blowing that we're actually in a part of history, you know?
Yeah. There was somebody joking about how many times we've heard the word unprecedented lately. Like, probably haven't heard that word too many times, you know, before, but we've heard unprecedented now, an unprecedented number of times. But it's just true. It's just where we are. And as a result of that, I think there will be so many people that maybe are really willing to step up and make those changes and do something different.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe that this soul was put into this human body for us to be able to grow and to expand and to experience. I mean, regardless as to what you qualify your higher power, being it God or, you know, whatever term they want to use, we do have a higher power. And I believe that we're here to allow that higher power to experience our 5 senses. And that's through the power of touch and eating. And they talk about the body being a temple. And, you know, I don't know that a lot of people really take that to heart. Yeah. Yeah. Well, self-care is the way to go, man.
See, I told you guys, you can tell, you share so much from the heart, Leesa, and I love it. And you can tell how much you know, so this is a great way to kind of like, because we're going to close it out, but we always share a drop of thought, a dot, right? We call it a dot. We're going to leave a dot on the world. We're going to connect the dots to something for people. And you've probably connected a lot of dots today, because people, some of the stuff they may have heard. And, you know, I always say, like, if you need to hear something 50 times, like that you should drink more water, and you share that thought with them, and that maybe that's number 45, it's still important, right? Because they need to hear it 50. And it was still one of those dots that was going to make a difference. So if you were going to look at like offering sort of like that overwhelm, that drop of thought, that pearl of wisdom right now with the audience, what would that be for you?
I think you matter.
Yeah.
And you matter. We need to take care of ourselves. Self-care is, because when mom is happy and healthy, then everybody's happy and healthy. So
Yep.
you matter.
Yeah, you something earlier on you were saying about the sadness that you had at one point. My mom was somebody who was really sad, and I was just thinking, so for me, it's always been like, I know the more, and I know you know this, that the more that I could live in my joy, the more that my children could live in theirs. So I think that you matter, because if you aren't there, like if you're not in that joy, guess what? Then your children probably aren't either, because they know.
Oh my gosh. I mean, a toddler, their worst day is the mom's worst day.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's usually because the mom has some kind of thoughts, or maybe she's in her cycle, maybe she hasn't rested, whatever it is.
Right.
Sometimes she got some hard news, and she might not be expressing that verbally, but those little ones pick up on that.
They know. Yeah, you can hide it all you want, but the truth is they know. And so I think that you matter is really important. And so what I want to say to you is that, like, I share my dot's usually that, and I love this bit, that ripples don't flow in, they flow out. And if we really want to see change out in the world, that it starts with us, and it starts in our own homes with our families. And that's my passion and heartbeat of this. But I can tell how much your passion and heartbeat is around that too, and getting to share that with families today. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And I can't wait to see you again.
I know, like, when we can not have to stay at home. All right. You take care. We'll talk soon. Thank you, everyone, for being here. You're always an amazing. Thank you, Scotia, for jumping on and participating. I know there'll be more comments that come in, but anyway, if you watch this show later, just thank you for being here, and please drop in your questions, because we'll answer them. So
yeah, we will. Thank you. Bye, Judy. Bye, everyone.